I greet you in Jesus' precious name. You know, early this morning, when I was having my quiet time, in fact, in this very room, in this little house, which we built 42 years ago, out of mud. Can you believe it? It's still standing. Same little fireplace. This is where I have my quiet times every day. I was reading from the book of Proverbs, chapter 20 and verse 29. And listen to what it says. The glory of young men is their strength, and the splendor of old men is the gray head. Their gray head. I want to say to you folks that we need to respect age. I don't regard myself as old, but I suppose I am getting old. I spend most of my time with young men half my age. That's probably why I still feel young. What do they say? You're as old as you feel. But the reality is, we need to respect the older people. Why? Because they have walked a road, folks. And I want to say to you young guys, you don't have time left on earth to have to reinvent the wheel. Start learning from the older people. Take your hat off, humble yourself, and ask for advice. They will gladly give it to you. I remember an old gentleman that lived in this district. He was an excellent stock farmer. You could tell him nothing about cattle. And when he was old, he left his farm and he lived in a little flat in our local town. And I used to see him often driving around in his little Jeep. And you know, the young men didn't seem to want to ask him. And I remember him when I would say, "How are you doing, Bob?" His name was Bob. And he would say, "I'm fine." And we'd start talking about cattle. He was a wealth of knowledge. Young guys, too busy to ask him. Oh, folks, you see behind me here? These are my books. This is my library. I love books, by the way. There's an old First Nations saying, Red Indian saying, when an old man dies, it's like a library of books that burns down. And how many times, even my own sons have often said to me that they wish they had spent more time with my father, their grandfather, because there were things that he knew that they wanted to learn. My dad was a blacksmith. He could work with steel, but he'd also been around. He had been in the Great War. He had seen things. He had traveled most of Africa. He had built engineering companies up. And he was sitting there by himself. And my sons could have gone and gleaned so much. My wife's father was a steam engineer. And he had such a wealth of knowledge. Don't waste it. Yeah, older people would love to share their experience and their wisdom with you. If we go to the back of the Bible, close to the book of Revelation, to 1 John chapter 2 and 2 verses 13 and 14. Listen to this. 1 John chapter 2 and verse 13 and 14. I write to you, fathers, because you have known him, that's Jesus, who is from the beginning. I write to you, young men, because you have overcome the wicked one. I write to you, little children, because you have known the Father. Verse 14, I have written to you, fathers, because you have known him who is from the beginning, and I have written to you, young men, because you are strong, and the word of God abides in you, and you have overcome the wicked man. I want to say to you, my dear friend, together we can conquer for Jesus Christ. Wisdom plus strength. Let's work together. Goodbye.